Hafid Darbaki with RIZINtv. Happy to be joined by RIZIN lightweight and former title challenger Johnny Case, who will be taking Juri Ohara upcoming at RIZIN World Series in Korea on May 31st. Johnny, it is good to see you again.
It's always a pleasure to see you too, my friend.
So last time you fought in RIZIN was at RIZIN 47, almost a year ago against Noah. It's been almost 12 months, so just let me know what have you been up to all this time?
Just been coaching back in Iowa. I opened my own gym about a year and a half ago. So, that's been going good, just kind of slowly growing that. But I decided to come back out to the MMA lab here in Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona, to do my camp for this upcoming fight. And now I'm feeling great, feeling like my old self again, feeling strong and lean, and I'm ready to go, man. I'm ready to have a killer performance and get back in that win column.
Awesome. It also looks like you had a boxing match scheduled a couple months ago, but it didn't happen. Tell me about that.
Man, I'm starting to kind of learn that boxing's a little bit corrupt, a little bit corrupt. So yeah, I was supposed to fight down in Texas, another undefeated fighter. I'm 5-0 as a pro boxer, 4 KOs. I was fighting another undefeated fighter, 4-0. And we got to about the week of the fight, and all of a sudden the promoter started saying, "Well, I didn't know you fought in the UFC, all this." And I'm like, "Well, you never asked, And as far as boxing goes, this guy's supposed to be a lifelong boxer. I'm just, a hobbyist boxer at best. And kind of gave me the runaround and basically told me that the athletic commission wasn't allowing the fight to go through because I had medical issues. And here's the thing, this will be my 18th year as a professional fighter this summer. So when they say fight screenings, medicals, I know everything it takes, right? Well, they tried saying that I got the wrong blood test, and then my doctor had to talk to him again. It was just a nightmare, man. So long story short, what I think happened was, the guy was 4-0, I was 5-0. He thought it was going to be a real easy win, and then started doing his homework and realized that, maybe it's not a good fight for him to take. So I kind of got the runaround and kind of got shafted, but it is what it is.
And up until now, all of your pro bouts for boxing have been in your home state. Is that correct?
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So the only reason why I started doing pro boxing is because during COVID, I couldn't travel anywhere to fight because I was signed with RIZIN. Okay, so I couldn't do MMA anywhere else, but I could start doing pro boxing. And I've always been a big fan of the sweet science and hit without getting hit, and thought I'd give it a go. And yeah, I've enjoyed it. And cutting weight isn't such a big deal too, because you're not grappling and having to carry somebody's weight. So it's fun little hobby, but there's levels to the game, obviously. But it's literally 1/3 of a MMA fight. Like, I feel like when you're in an MMA fight, like, there's never a moment in the cage where your spider senses aren't tingling, like, oh, danger, whether it's going to be a kick or a grappling exchange. And boxing is straight line, hooks, uppercuts, and occasionally over the top. You know what I mean? And like I said, I know there's levels to it, but it's 1/3 of the fight that I'm used to, being engaged in. So it's kind of nice not having to worry about getting my legs kicked, having to grapple. Just kind of move my feet, move my head, and throw punches, baby.
Aside from boxing, you're also busy as a promoter in your home state. You've done 2 events in 2024, and you just did an event last month. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes. Yeah. So I was lucky enough to be in a position, 2016, coming off of a good year in the UFC. I think I won 4 straight with 2 bonuses. And I was a former champion of MCC before I got signed to the UFC. And the promoter was just like, "Hey, man, I'm just kind of getting sick and tired of, promoting and, getting burnt out. Would you like to buy the company?" So I was just in a place, right time, purchased the company. And, it's always been my goal to, be able to give back to the fighters, what I mean? Be able to give back to the sport that gave me so much, you know what I mean? And, yeah, it's been fun. It's been great building the talent, the local talent. I started my own gym about a year and a half ago. So, I kind of got all the bases covered with coaching, got a promotion. I'm still fighting. And it's really rewarding at this stage, being able to give back and to help.
I understand Alex Coover, who cornered you. He's your cousin, right?
He's my cousin. Yes, the old alley cat. Yeah, and he's been on a tear as of recently. So he's on a three fight KO winning streak. Won 2 pro titles. Had a really awesome first round finish in the LFA. He's been doing great. We've been working really hard, and it's been really great to see his success. As of lately, and he works really hard, and he's had a young baby boy not too long ago. So yeah, the grind is real with him, and expect to hear that name more.
And is it safe to assume you'll be cornering him for any of his upcoming fights in the big shows?
I think it's safe to assume I'll be there. Yep. At first he didn't know which direction to go. He's like, I want to go with RIZIN. RIZIN's always like, it's so exciting, and the fan base and the rule set, everything's great. And then, he kind of decided, maybe I'm going to try the route with the UFC, try to go the UFC route. And then if RIZIN's, in the future for him, then so be it. But yeah, I think that's the goal for him as of now.
Very exciting stuff. So let's shift back to your fighting career. We've talked about, promotions and boxing. So let's get back to MMA. Since your last fight against Noah, have you had any offers come across your table from RIZIN before this one?
No, after the Noah fight though, and I was talking to Shingo, and they had mentioned Hori was going to be a possible opponent, which would have been a great fight too. I'm a big fan of him. And when they offered me this fight against Yuri, I was, he's such a savage, and he's always a tough guy. He brings it, you know what I mean, and he shows up ready to fight. So, when they offered me that opponent, I knew it was going to be fireworks for the fans, and I'm all game for this one.
And as I mentioned before, it's been 12 months since your last fight. How do you handle these types of longer breaks away from competing in MMA? It's not the first time it's happened for you. You've had these types of hiatuses before. So I guess just tell me a bit more about how you manage your time in between these long breaks.
Yeah, man. I mean, the grind, I'm always training. I love what I do. I gonna be 13 and 14-year-old boys, who wrestle year round. Just got interested in doing jujitsu and, learning the striking game. So, I love what I do. I train all the time, train with my kids. But yeah, it's been pretty turbulent as far as my time off goes, since the Grand Prix. You know what I mean? So I was a finalist in the Grand Prix, lost to Tofik. Then COVID hit, and I had about 2 years I had to sit and wait. Then I come back from COVID, and I'm number one contender, which is awesome. I'm ready to go, lose that fight, and that kind of broke my heart. Like I'm not even gonna lie, but I was ready to call it quits after that loss. You know what I mean? Like in my eyes, like if I wasn't a champion, then I'm a nobody. If I'm a nobody, what the hell am I doing fighting these savages? You know what I mean? And they offered me the Takeda fight, and I was like, yep, I'll beat his ass. You know what I mean? But I was there to get paid, and he was there to live or die. You know what I mean? And that's how we got the decision. And it wasn't for my brother Satoshi, Roberto Souza, champion. He invited me to come back out to Japan and train with him and prepare for the fight after that. And kind of got I remember he was talking to me. He's like, why do you fight, Johnny? I was like, well, to be a champion, and he's like, oh yes, yeah, I understand that. He's like, but why did you start fighting? And I was like, well, I like it and I enjoy it. And he's like, this is enough. I was like, yeah, you know what? Like, I'm sick of like just putting the pressure on myself, you know what I mean? And, champion or bust. And it's like, this will be my 18th year as a professional fighter. You know what I mean? Tomorrow is not promised. You know what I mean? And I just got to look at it one fight at a time, and just enjoy every second that I get in the gym. Every time I get to step into the cage, into the ring, just be thankful and be blessed to do what I love to do every single day. And, and then I won that fight. It was a nice KO. And then I was getting ready to fight again that following April, and I blew my knee out. So bam, another 2 years I have to sit out. And then through that time, I'm kind of figuring out, moved back home to Iowa, figuring my stuff out, started a gym, and got a fight against Noah, and all was good. I was like, yep, we'll make this happen. And then it was too much between, trying to run the gym, trying to train, not really having the training partners I needed. and that was kind of a really lackluster performance, and missed weight for the first time, which was so embarrassing and so unprofessional. And all that behind me, now I'm in a place. I've came out, I'm prepared, and I'm going to show up May 31st and be the best version of myself. And I can't wait to get out there and show the fans that I'm still here. I'm still ready to win fights. And, May 31st, I'm going to get my hand raised.
Yeah, I think it's no secret. You still have so many fans here in Japan and internationally, just RIZIN fans around that have seen your journey, and they've seen what you've overcome, injuries, hiatus, losing a big title fight, and you're still here, you're still competing, and I think the fans are really looking forward to your next fight. You mentioned a couple of names there. Obviously, Roberto Satoshi Souza, someone you have a very long history with, going back over 5 years. He's also competing on May 31st. Have you guys been staying in touch ever since?
A little bit, him, Kleber, Marcus, like all those guys, man, all the bonsai guys. They're just, salt of the earth, awesome human beings, and, brothers. Like, it's crazy that, Roberto and I have fought twice. He's won the last one. I won the one before, but, looking back now, it's only love. It's so crazy to think that we've fought twice. You know what I mean? So I'm so excited to be on the same card as him. We always just, I feel like, pick up where we left off, and I'm really looking forward to sharing a card with him as well.
There's also another lightweight bout on May 31st between Siwon Kim and Sho Patrick Usami. Are you familiar with either of these guys as well?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I know Show Patrick. So Patrick actually is a good buddy of my good friend, Ryu. Yeah, Ryu is from Osaka, a kid that actually lived with me. He went to college, to university in Wartburg, Iowa, and had a couple months before where he couldn't move into his dorm. So hit me up, and he came and lived with me. And yeah, so him and Show Patrick actually are buddies back from high school and stuff too. So yeah, a lot of respect for Show Patrick as well. He's got really good boxing, and he's an exciting fighter as well.
Small world. That's crazy.
Small world. Yeah, small world.
Do you feel like you favor Sho Patrick Usami in that matchup as well?
I do, man. Yeah, for sure. For sure. I think Show Patrick's gonna get it done. He's gonna, go out there and get the finish.
And this isn't your first time going to Korea, right?
No, but this is so I actually the first time I went was when the Korean Zombie fought Brian Ortega, and this was during COVID. Okay, so nobody could come to America, right? Like Zombie, he used to come to Arizona to do his camps. Him and I had the same striking coach for a while, and he couldn't come to the States, but we could go to Korea. So it was me, Eddie Cha, another fighter, and at first they're like, hey, you guys are gonna just do quarantine at the Airbnb, no big deal. And then we get there and it's like 2 weeks in like isolation, like, oh, it was crazy times, you know what I mean? And then we got out and it was still a lot of COVID restrictions everywhere, but towards the end we got to go out and really enjoy some restaurants and some good scenery and stuff like that. So I'm really looking forward to go checking out Korea now with no restrictions, just to kind of see what it's all about.
For sure, for sure. That was about what, 5, 6 years ago, something like that.
Yeah. It's crazy to think it's been that long, but yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It should be a much different experience this time around. Not everything will be shut down. So
Yes, I agree. By the way, like I was in Seoul last time in Gangnam. Like some of the best food, oh man, it was so cool too. So it was almost like it was a letdown that we couldn't really go out and fully explore, but like what we did get to go to, it was really awesome. So Zombie's a good host.
yeah, and it's kind of interesting because for your matchup against Jiri Ohara, they kind of have a theme for this card. It's kind of like Japan versus Korea, or RIZIN versus, I guess, Black Combat and the Korean Zombies fighters. But in this case, you're actually kind of representing RIZIN, and I guess Jiri Ohara is kind of representing Korea. How do you feel about that type of dynamic behind this fight?
Man, it couldn't be a bigger honor, to tell you the truth. Especially because Yuri's a Japanese fighter. He's kind of technically was there before me, but I know he's done a lot of fighting over in Korea as of lately. So yeah, if they want to throw me on Team RIZIN and he's Team Korea, I'm all for it, baby. Let's go.
How much do you know about Jiri Ohara?
I know enough. you know, I've seen him fight. He's a tenacious guy. He's really tough, heart of a lion, got a granite chin, and he's going to be there from the start of the bell to the end of the fight. So, you know, I'm just going to go in there and focus on what I do, focus on what I need to do to get him out of there.
And obviously, it depends on the result of the fight, but how quick of a turnaround would you like to have after this?
You know, it just all depends on, you know, my health after the fight, you know. I'd love to have, you know, get in there, you know, get out unscathed, get a good win and get, you know, get right back to work, you know, because like I said, it's been a lot of time on the sidelines since the Grand Prix in 2019. So, you know, I'm all for it. You know, I just got to keep winning fights and, you know, exciting fights, exciting fashion, and you know, the rest is up to the boss man.
Including your debut against Yachi on New Year's of 2018, all through until your semifinal bout against Tofik in 2019, you fought 4 times in that 12-month span. And that was, you know, New Year's 2018 to New Year's 2019. And then in 2022, when you made your return, you fought 3 times that year. Is that the type of activity that you would like to keep up at this point of your career?
Absolutely. Yeah. If I had it my way, 3 would be about the perfect number. You know what I mean? Um, Through 2018 and 2019, I was really fortunate. You know, I didn't really take too much damage in any of my fights. You know what I mean? The Yachi fight, you know, I ended up stopping the fight, hurt his eye. You know, the Kitaoka fight after that, I ended up stopping the fight, ground and pound. Even Satoshi, you know, I ended up the first fight of the Grand Prix, I ended up getting a first round stoppage. So I just felt like everything was just leveling up year for year. I mean, the weight cuts got easier. I got bigger, leaner. Um, you know, and when you don't get hurt after fights and you can just roll right back into the camp, like that was really awesome to do. But you know, this is a pretty brutal sport, and it's pretty tough on the, you know, day in day out grinding. So it was just a fortunate position to be able to fight 4 times in that year, and you know, yeah, it was a good year.
So let's say you go out there and it's the Nobumitsu Tyson fight all over again. You go out there, you stop him in 30 seconds, no damage taken. You get on the mic, who are you going to call out?
You know what? I felt like, um, you know, Luis Gustavo was going to be somebody that I crossed paths with at some point. You know, he was another finalist in the Grand Prix tournament. Ended up losing to Patricky Pitbull. I feel like that fight makes sense. You know what I mean? I just gotta keep winning. You know, another one that excites me is Hori as well. You know, he's another exciting kickboxer and tough as nails. And I think either of those guys would be exciting matchups.
Definitely. And I don't want to distract you from, you know, obviously the big match you have in front of you. But Gustavo just had a fight at the end of March at RIZIN50. He fought Shunta Nomura and he lost the decision. And then Horie has a fight 2 weeks after your fight against Yamato Nishikawa. Did you watch the Gustavo fight, and will you have your eyes on the Horie fight?
I did. Yes. I mean, that's the thing too. Like I'd fight for Ryzen, but man, I'm such a big fan. Like all the events I watch, you know what I mean? All the, you know, especially the guys I'm fighting. So yeah, absolutely. I'll be tuning in. I always tune in and, you know, support the biz, support the company.
Awesome. Well, Johnny, any last message for the RIZIN fans worldwide?
Just that I'll see you guys soon. I can't thank you guys enough for your overwhelming love and support. And tune in and watch me go out there and kick some ass, guys.
Johnny Case, thank you so much for your time today.
Hey man, it was my pleasure. It's always good to talk to you, brother.